Hello and welcome to Learning Music with Pat. I want to start off today by showing you an instrument that was given to me as a gift just this past week by a friend of mine. And this is the instrument. It is a melody flute of some kind, an Indian flute. And I'm going to try to hold it here so you can see it well. And it's made out of bamboo. It does have a problem in the fact that it doesn't play, but she would not have known that when she gave it to me. She gave it to me as a gift. It comes from the Caribbean. I just don't know which country in the Caribbean it comes from. If you can get a good shot of the front of it, I'm not sure that you're going to be able to see this well, but all the tone holes are basically the same size. Of course, they're going to appear black because there's no light illuminating them from the back, and supposedly it's got seven holes on it so you can play a scale. It does not play, and it's not even worth my trying to play it, but it does not play. And the reason it does not play is that there is a very bad, ominous crack right in the top of it. Now this crack starts at where the labium is, that little square where the air goes out of, and it keeps on going down. And it goes down, and on the top there are two cracks. So she would not have realized this, but when I looked at it, I said, this instrument is going to have problems. Of course, I didn't tell her that. And I did try to play it. Well, just for the fun of it, I'll try and see if it makes any tone at all. It may not. See, all I'm getting is the air. I can't get any tone out of it at all. You can maybe hear an air sound, but that's the air that's going through the cracks. That's all you're hearing. Now, I've said before, if there's anything wrong with the top of an instrument or keys that are toward the top of the instrument, every note going down from that point will be affected. If the crack was on the bottom, say right here, then these notes would play, but anything below that crack would not play. Yeah, that is much better. You can see the tone holes. They're all about the same size. On the less expensive instruments, especially those made out of bamboo, I've noticed this before. The tone holes tend to be all in the same size, all the way down. My Indian flute, if I have it here, one of the Indian flutes, I guess I don't, I can't see it anyway, has the same thing. It goes all the same size all the way down. However, they tend to play. There's no tone hole on the back like the recorder would have. If you look at a recorder, and I'll use the lighter ones because they show up much better on television, you'll notice that the tone holes are different sizes. And they're not exactly straight up and down. They go a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. You have holes like this one that is smaller than the larger ones, and that's to accommodate the size of your fingers and the amount of air that's going out of the holes above and below it. And so therefore you get your various tones, and that's important. But the less expensive instruments have the same size holes. If you have an instrument that isn't playing well, but there's no crack, then what you're going to find is that the lower part of the instrument will go sharp, the higher notes will go flat. And so you have to remember that. Any cheaper instrument, this doesn't play because of the crack. Now I'm going to hold this up. I don't know if you can see how bad that crack really is. Now I've only had this instrument. You may not be able to. That's all right. You can take my word for it. I've only had this instrument for about a week. And the crack has gotten worse during the week that I've got it, and I haven't even played it. It wouldn't, oh, that's great. Yeah, you can see that. See the size of that crack. That's really a large, large crack. And on the top, there are two other cracks. You may be able to see them a little bit. They're not as big as this. This crack is so big you can almost see in the inside of the instrument by looking through the crack. And that's too bad because that completely destroys it. It is not going to be able to play. Will I keep it? Yes, I will, because I can always use an instrument as a teaching tool. Even if I don't play it, I can use it as a teaching tool. Besides which, it was a gift from a good friend. And also, I have to remember that, you know, a lot of people don't get a chance to see a lot of instruments, and I can bring in instruments that I have. It's decorated nicely. There's some yellow cording around here. There's some red cording around here. There was some kind of a sticker put on it, part of the sticker wrapped off, and you know, I don't care about that, but the instrument came like that. And I notice, I don't think anyone will be able to pick this up. Well, here's the sticker. It's not complete. It's like half of it have been removed, but that's the way it was given to me. So I don't know if maybe somebody had it and ripped it off before I got it or what. But if you watch it, the cracks are beginning to go all the way down the instrument, all the way down the front. So this instrument will never be playable. But it gives you a chance to see how these foreign instruments are made. If they're made out of bamboo, I tend to think, and this is just my opinion, if an instrument is made out of bamboo, it can crack fairly easily if the bamboo is thin, and it goes to make a circle around it because the instrument is circular. It's like a tube, and I think maybe if the wood is too taut, if somehow it's too thin and it's too taut or something, that it makes it easier. It makes it easier to split. I have a number of these instruments that have split, but this is one that is just split a lot more than most of them have. I did have a walking stick flute. I finally got rid of it. I usually never get rid of an instrument, but I got this one. I did get rid of this one. I bought it from a company. It was like 3 feet long. It was like a walking stick. It had a compass on it, and you would hold it up and play it like a fife. With a fife, you hold it like a flute. You know, you hold it up and blow across it. And it started to get a crack in it, and it cracked so much, the wood split so much, that the division between the two parts of the wood was at least this big. It was like I had a little bit of wood, and the rest was bare space all the way down. And there was absolutely no repairing it. Now, I have been told that there are people who will repair wooden instruments if they are cracked, but for an instrument that is inexpensive as this one is, basically a souvenir kind of instrument, it wouldn't be worth the money to get it fixed. If it were a very important instrument, historic instrument, or an instrument that was very playable, then it would be worth it, but I think it would be very expensive, and I personally don't know of anybody that does that kind of work, but I have been told that there are some people that are specialized in treating and fixing wooden instruments that have split. Now, if you take a look at this wooden instrument, this is a German-made recorder, and it's wood, and it's a very nice one, and there are no cracks in it. The wood is thicker, probably, and it's not bamboo. It's a different kind of wood, and it's a very nice instrument. And I play it a lot, and so you don't have to worry about getting cracks in an instrument like this. But there are a lot of inexpensive ones that you do get cracks in if they're inexpensively built. Well, let me play this one. You can see the difference. So it's a very nice instrument. It's all wood. It's German-made, and it has the German fingering pattern, as I've told you before, that the German instruments, you don't have forked fingerings. When you get down to the F, you play it like a regular F. If you have a Baroque instrument, you have to put another finger down, so the Baroque instruments are a little bit more complicated to play. So just to let you see some of these instruments, I have a group of them here, and I want to get into keys and talk about keys, so I'll do that now. Every instrument has a key, and it's made to play in a certain key. for the C melody recorders, which is what I use most of when I'm here because it's easy to teach musical principles from it, easy to teach fingering and harmonics. There's lots of things you can teach from these simpler instruments, but these are in the key of C. Sounds good, nice tone. It's a plastic instrument, and a lot of the instruments are, and it's in the key of C. Now let me play this key. I'm going to just play the C on it, and we'll check some other instruments. That's the C, perfect pitch C. This is the German one that I just played. Maybe a vibration or two a little stronger, but a vibration or two faster, but it's basically the same pitch. With this one, it's supposed to be in the key of C. I like the way it sounds. It's in pitch with itself, but it is a little bit too sharp. And if I play this one here, it's flat, but I can still use it because it's in pitch with itself. I can play some things that are out of pitch and use instruments that are out of pitch, and I just make the adjustments so they're playing along with the CD in pitch. Now, some people who record music and have CDs out, they don't always record them in the right pitch. Sometimes they record them slightly sharp, and the reason for doing that is that if you have your vibrations just a little bit sharp, then the music is a little bit more brilliant. The faster the vibrations are, the higher the pitch it is, but the faster vibrations also make the music a little bit more brilliant just by virtue of the fact that they're vibrating faster. And so there are some orchestras that will take an instrument or take a whole orchestra and pitch every instrument a little bit too high. Not a lot. You're not talking even a full step. You may not even be talking a half a step. You may be talking just a few vibrations, like a quarter of a step, an eighth of a step. Those are the most difficult to tune to, because if it's not exactly on pitch and it's a little bit off, it would be easier to tune to it if it was a full step off. But if it's not a full step off, then it's harder to pitch to it if it's just a few vibrations off, because you can kind of hear it, but you can't necessarily tune an instrument to it. Most of these instruments are tunable, but some are not. You have some of the smaller ones that are not tunable, and I'm talking about my little penny whistles. This is an E-flat penny whistle. Now, I said every instrument has a key that it plays in. This little E-flat penny whistle plays in the key of E-flat. It's made to play that way. It's a very nice instrument. It is made to play in E-flat. Now this one here is made to play in D. This is also a penny whistle. It's a little bit larger, and it plays in the key of D. And it plays very well. So these penny whistles play very well. This one happens to play in the key of F. It's a very short one, so it's very high-pitched. I used to joke that I would only play it in front of people who I didn't like, because it's ear-piercing if I get going on it. But I won't get going on it here because I don't want to kill your ears. That's the lowest note. It is in the key of F. That lowest note's going to be an F. but I have one that's a little even shorter than that, and this is in the key of G. In the key of G, this is the smallest penny whistle that I have, and it's very, very small. And your fingers are very close together when you're playing it, very high pitch. It's very easy to slip a finger off and miss it because they're so close together. A little bit like this sopranino. This sopranino is the smallest of the recorders, and it's in the key of F. See if you can remember those tones. And I'll play this other F. This is also in the key of F. What's the difference? Well, the penny whistles, they don't have any kind of a hole, thumb hole in the back, tone hole in the back. And if you're using the same fingerings, they're going to pitch one step down from what the recorders do. And so you can play the same kind of music, but you just have to accommodate that. You just have to realize that it's down one step, and when you write music for that. This instrument is also in the key of F. It's harder to play because of the finger stretches. Now, I love the instrument. I have several of these, at least 2 or 3 of the altos. They're in the key of F. The sopranino's in the key of F. I have a bass in the key of F. Take a look at the size, the difference in the size of these 2 instruments. And this is an alto, and this is a sopranino. Just hold it up a little bit so you can see the differences in the size. But if I play the same note, I should get basically the same pitch. Now, when I say basically, I do mean basically. So let me just try this tone. If you can remember that. Whoops. It is the same note. It's just higher pitch because they're both in the key of F. If I play the F on the penny whistle, it comes down lower because it always pitches one step below. Every instrument has a pitch, and you have to keep it within that pitch. But that makes it possible for you to play all kinds of things, to write all kinds of music. You just have to know what the instrument is capable of. So I've been fooling around with some music. I'm going to play this. There's no background tape to this. I've been writing music, and I'm not saying it's great art or anything like that. That's not the purpose of it. But I've been writing music for the purpose of using it in teaching and doing recordings on this music so that I can play it here in the music show. So this is a piece that just kind of came to me, and I played it, and I wrote it down. But this is what it is. Now this is in the key of C, and I wrote it as kind of like a march using triplets and so forth. When we start next time, I think I'll go over that with you, but I want to go over keys and what the instruments can do. Every instrument has a key. I've played with people who don't know that, I've played with people who I'll ask them what key they're in, and they won't know what I'm talking about. So I feel that it's very important that you know about keys. We're going to go into it more on this next segment. I'm going to show you another instrument that I have that somebody gave me that's more primitive than the one that I showed you this time, and it's just a very unusual instrument. I'll show you that as well. I do have now well over 230 instruments in the collection. I started off with about 226, and I've added since then. They just seem to come. It's not like I'm searching out instruments and I'm buying them right and left. People usually end up by giving them to me. So what I may do, some of these instruments are very, very rare that you won't be able to see probably anywhere else. I'm going to start bringing in one or two at a time just to demonstrate and show you what these instruments are. Some of them very, very ancient, very old. I won't usually bring them out in bad weather at all. I was going to bring out more today, but we have a storm and I don't want to get anything wet. So I will let you go at this point. We only have 3 minutes left anyway, and we'll continue with this next time. Please join me then.